Shun Long was slightly taken aback by the dragon's sudden question. Thinking about it for a while, he nodded his head as he said, "For now I have to return. I'm still not strong enough to even protect my parents, let alone establish a foothold for myself. I also don't know anything about the regions around the floating cloud sect. If it wasn't for the sect forcing the new outer disciples to participate in this sect examination, we wouldn't even have a clue about this demonic mountain region either. So for the time being, it's more beneficial for me to stay there." Little Black agreed with Shun Long's words. Even he had never heard of this floating cloud sect, so he had no idea where they were right now. Staying inside the sect and gathering more information was probably the best decision. Shun Long then thought for a bit before saying, "We have to quickly return to the safe area first. From there, I will head towards the entrance in the outer region alone. I guess that many disciples must have already gathered there by now." After Shun Long walked out of the cave, Little Black came out from the Stone of Time as he unfurled his black wings and flew towards the safe area. While flying, Little Black was also using his soul sense at the same time to see if there were any humans anywhere near them. However, they didn't find a single disciple from the 4 sects inside the inner region. After all, only a few elite groups like Yongru's senior sister, or the son of the sect master from the Iron-Hardened sect, would dare to enter deep in the inner region in the first place, and even they had probably left already after the sect exam was officially cancelled. One day later, Shun Long, who was flying on the black dragon's back, had arrived near the safe area. However, he had already noticed from the sky that the place had already been completely deserted. Landing near the safe area, Shun Long had Little Black return inside the Stone of Time before he continued on foot for the rest of the journey. With Little Black scanning the way with his soul sense, Shun Long didn't meet a single beast above the early rank 2 or any disciple from the 4 sects. For 3 days, he had returned back to the outskirts of the demonic mountain region. "I'm probably just a few hours away from the entrance," Shun Long inferred as he then remembered what Yongru had told him while they were traveling together. Searching inside the Stone of Time, Shun Long grabbed the beast core of an early rank 2 bat that Little Black had killed when they had hunted the rank 3 red-fanged flame bat in its cave and put it inside his pocket. Then he proceeded to walk towards the demonic mountain region's entrance. 2 hours later, Shun Long had arrived in front of the entrance as he saw 4 huge rows of disciples queuing up in front of it. The disciples were all split according to their sect uniforms, and it seemed that at the start of each line there was an elder from each sect doing some sort of inspection. Shun Long walked at the end of the floating cloud sect's line as he stood behind a young man seemingly no older than 14 years old. Although Shun Long was relatively certain of what was happening, he still decided to ask the kid in front of him. "Junior brother, do you know what's happening in the front? Why do we have to line up here?" The young man looked at Shun Long, who had just queued up behind him nervously, as he clutched something in his hand before he responded. Actually, I heard from a senior sister that there is some inspection going on. I think that they are checking for what we acquired from the outer region and also count our survival points," the young man replied stutteringly when the voice of a young girl sounded from the front of the line as she was shouting pleadingly. "Please, elder. I need this rank 2 water pearl to advance into the earth grade. I beg you don't take this from me." Shun Long looked at the young girl who seemed to be around 16 years old and was clutching a pink pearl in her hands, as her eyes had turned red from tears. She was begging on her knees in front of the bald Elder Zhu. Elder Zhu, however, looked at her coldly as he forcefully snatched the pink pearl from her hands before he said, "It is thanks to the sect that you could even come here. Not only that, but the sect has helped nurture you since you arrived, and now you dare to deny when the sect is asking you for something? After all, I am not stealing this water pearl from you, but I am giving you sect points in return. This is a fair trade, you know." Shun Long snorted inwardly as he heard the bald Elder Zhu's words and thought, "What a joke. The sect has helped nurture the disciples? Everyone has to work to get any sect points in the floating cloud city. It's thanks to the sect that she managed to come here? Yes, she had to risk her life whether she agreed or not as the sect forced her. You are not stealing from her? A fair trade, you say?" She is clearly being forced to trade whether she agrees or not. So this is the true face of the floating cloud sect then? The line was slowly moving up, and people who seemed to be hiding something or didn't offer something of value by themselves were personally searched by Elder Zhu regardless if they were men or women. 3 hours later, the line had come close to its end, and the person in front of Elder Zhu was now the young man who was in front of Shun Long.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If you'd like to request updates on any novel, consider becoming a Patreon or Ko-fi member. Based on your membership tier, I'll create additional parts for the novel you're interested in. Normally, I'll only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel due to limited time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps.
Elder Zhu looked at the young man who had hidden his hands behind his back and just smirked as he said, "Show me your hands." The young man started sweating as he shook his head, but Elder Zhu just moved behind him as he pried open his hands and took a small beast core that this young man was holding. "TSK, just a middle rank 1 beast core? Come here." As he heard Elder Zhu's voice, the young man took a step forward and Elder Zhu started his body search. After finding nothing else, Elder Zhu was disappointed. He then looked at the young man and said in a generous tone, "You are lucky, kid. I will give you 50 sect points for this beast core." The young man, however, shook his head at Elder Zhu. Elder Zhu then frowned as he asked in a commanding voice, "What? Don't tell me that you don't want to exchange this small middle rank 1 beast core. Could it be that you want me to expel you from the sect then? If you keep refusing, I will have no other choice." The young man's face paled instantly as he heard about being expelled from the sect and hurriedly shook his head as he said, "Elder, it's not that. I have just heard from a senior sister from the Flying Sword sect that the elders of the 4 sects may not be fair to small disciples like me when they purchase our goods." The young man spoke weakly, and Elder Zhu looked towards the group of the Flying Sword sect in anger before he turned his attention to the young man in front of him and said, "Who said that? Ask your fellow disciples here if I have treated any of them unfairly." As Elder Zhu finished speaking, he turned his head to look at the nearly 40 disciples of the Floating Cloud sect behind him, who then turned their heads away as if they didn't dare to make eye contact with him. Shun Long's mouth was agape at Elder Zhu's shamelessness. His face was probably thicker than the Floating Cloud City's walls, for him to be able to spout lies like that in broad daylight. A middle rank 1 beast core could easily be sold for 70 sect points in the treasure pavilion, and yet he was righteously purchasing it for 50 points here. Even Elder Lu Cheng and Grand Elder Lan Hong felt their faces somewhat redden as they heard Elder Zhu's words. The young man suspiciously handed his middle rank 1 beast core to Elder Zhu, who then transferred him 50 sect points in his sect jade. As the young man had already lost his survival point long ago, he didn't get an extra 10 sect points from Elder Zhu. After patting this young man's shoulder, Elder Lu looked at the last person in the line, Shun Long. Shun Long shrugged in indifference as he took out a rank 2 early beast core, making everyone's eyes widen. Even the strongest people in this outer sect examination belonging to the Floating Cloud sect, like the peak rank 3 earth grade Guan Hong, could at most kill an early rank 2 magic beast. Although they couldn't sense Shun Long's cultivation as he had completely hidden it with the Monarch's hourglass, most disciples thought that he must be a peak rank 3 earth grade expert who had hidden himself before the sect exam. Through all, magic beasts at the middle of rank 2 and higher were strong enough to easily kill rank 4 earth grade experts, so an early rank 2 magic beast was the limit for these disciples. Although some disciples at the peak of rank 3 in earth grade could team up to defeat a middle rank 2 magic beast, the possibilities of killing the beast were almost nil. Through all, defeating and killing a magic beast were 2 completely different things. Most disciples looked at Shun Long in pity. Being forced to give the beast core of a middle rank 2 magic beast that he had worked hard to kill must have been heart-tearing for him. Elder Zhu, however, looked at Shun Long with shining eyes as he patted his shoulder and said, "Good job, this is how disciples of the sect should conduct themselves. Helping the sect is also helping yourself. Right, give me your sect identifying jade now. I will give you 1,000 sect points for this beast core as well as count your survival points." Shun Long handed his sect identifying jade to Elder Zhu, who after grabbing it was stumped for a good while. Taking another look at Shun Long's face, he asked seriously, "What is your name, kid?" "Shun Long." "You did very well." Elder Zhu then turned his head to look at the rest of the Floating Cloud Sect's members as he said, "The first place in our Floating Cloud Sect belongs to Shun Long, who has gathered 118 survival points." Everyone from the Floating Cloud Sect who heard this were shocked, including Elder Lu Cheng and Grand Elder Lan Hong. Previous person in the first place had only gathered a bit more than 80 survival points. Among the group of shocked disciples were Xiao Shitu and Lin Wu, who looked at Shun Long incredulously. Due to the huge transformation that had occurred in his body thanks to the monarch's eternal body, they only recognized him after Elder Zhu had called out his name. Lei Xiang and her followers, however, were the only ones who looked at Shun Long with eyes that were spitting fire when they remembered how Shun Long had robbed them of all their sect points back in the outer region. Aside from Lei Xiang, one more person looked at Shun Long with hostility, the red-haired Guan Hong. Before Shun Long arrived, Guan Hong was certain that he would obtain the 100 spirit stones that the sect would give to the first-place winner along with a spatial ring when they returned. There was also the 100.000 sect points that the person who got first would also obtain. Although second place would only get 100 sect points less, there was a huge drop in prestige between being first or second from the sect. A mocking voice, however, brought everyone from the Floating Cloud Sect back in reality as the Grand Elder from the Flying Sword Sect, Huizhong, looked at Grand Elder Lan Hong and said, "Haha, congratulations, Lan Hong. It looks like your Floating Cloud Sect managed to at least get the fourth place this time." Shun Long was shocked to find out that he had only won the fourth place. Based on his estimations, unless the three geniuses from the other three sects didn't head in the inner region at all and only hunted for sect points in the outer region, they shouldn't have been able to gather more points than him. Lan Hong, however, looked at Huizhong with a mix of both anger and disdain as he said, "You really have the face to speak? Old man, I definitely didn't expect you to be so shameless. You actually had the disciples of your sect hand their survival points to your grandson and you still think that your family has any face left?" Huizhong wasn't angered at all by Grand Elder Lan Hong's insults. Instead, he looked at him gloatingly as he said, "This is called strategy, old Lan. What do you know? If you were smart enough, you would have done the same as well as the rest of us." Shun Long finally understood what had happened. "Master, these people are too shameless." Little Black felt indignation for Shun Long. Shun Long, however, simply shook his head as he responded to him. "Although you could call them unfair or shameless, the fault still lies with the Floating Cloud Sect. After all, for the other three sects to do the same thing under the Floating Cloud Sect's nose is truly shameful for them. However, I do feel that it's a pity that I can't get my hands on that rank 3 blood vermilion fruit." The blood vermilion fruit would have really helped Shun Long advance in his cultivation by quite a bit. Grand Elder Lan Hong looked at the group of the Floating Cloud Sect and said, "We will wait here for 2 more days. If no disciple shows up after these 2 days, we will assume that they have died inside and will return back to the Floating Cloud City." Through hearing Lan Hong's command, the disciples set up camp outside the demonic mountain region. However, it seemed as if Shun Long was really among the last people that had left the region. In the next 2 days, very few disciples actually showed up, and Grand Elder Lan Hong summoned everyone to return back to the Floating Cloud Sect. "I expected less than 10.000 disciples to come back alive from this outer sect examination. I guess they are lucky that we had to cancel it ahead of time, or there would definitely have been more than just 20.000 that died this time." Elder Zhu was chatting with Elder Lu as they were heading back to the Floating Cloud Sect. Their return journey was just as peaceful as the first one, and 7 days later, they had arrived outside the Floating Cloud City. People inside the city were startled to see the huge group of new disciples returning back to the sect. Usually, the outer sect examination was extremely bloody and only half of the disciples that set out would return alive. However, this year should have been even bloodier as it was the joint sect exam between the 4 sections. And yet, more than half of the disciples had returned back alive, and most importantly, ahead of time. Not even a month had passed since the Grand Elders group had set out, and yet they had already returned back to the sect. Something must have definitely happened. The disciples inside the demonic mountain region that participated in the sect exam had also asked the Grand Elder why they were called out prematurely, but the Elder simply didn't answer. After entering the city, Elder Lu Qing called for the disciples to disperse while he had Shun Long, Guan Hong, and a female disciple called Fan Liqing that was also at the peak of rank 3 in Earth grade, to come to the administration building with him to obtain their rewards. Following the Grand Elder and the other 2 elders, Shun Long soon arrived in front of the huge administration building. Inside, the disciples hurriedly bowed to the Grand Elder, who directly asked to meet Administrator Feng. A middle-aged man could be seen running from the distance, as he soon arrived in front of the Grand Elder and politely greeted. Greetings to the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder, Lan Heng nodded his head at Administrator Feng, who looked at him puzzledly, obviously wondering why they had returned back to the sect so soon when he said, Xiao Feng, give them the prizes for the top 3. First place is Shun Long, second place is Guan Hong, and third place is Fan Liqing, Lan Heng said as he introduced the disciples to Administrator Feng one by one. Seemed that neither Lu Qing nor Administrator Feng, whom Shun Long had met in the past, realized who he was. Administrator Feng handed Shun Long and the rest a silver ring that was identical to his own. This was a spatial ring that only people with status could have in the sect. Through transferring the sect points to their sect jades, Administrator Feng also handed 100 spirit stones to Shun Long as he said in an envious tone. 100 spirit stones is really not a small sum. Shun Long nodded his head at Administrator Feng without really paying much attention to his words when Grand Elder Lan Hong suddenly ordered them to leave as he had some matters to discuss with Administrator Feng. Not just Shun Long and the rest, the entire 3rd floor of the administration building was quickly cleared from all the disciples. Only the Grand Elder, the administrator, and the 2 elders were left inside. As they left the building, Guan Hong turned his head at Shun Long and said, I don't know where you came from or how you gathered so many sect points, but I have my eye on you now. You better not become a laughingstock and forfeit when I challenge you in the arena in the upcoming days. Shun Long looked at Guan Hong inquiringly, but Guan Hong simply snorted and left. Fan Liqing also cupped her fists at Shun Long before she went on her own way. Shun Long then decided to rent a room in the most expensive pavilion inside the outer city, the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion. The Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion wasn't only a restaurant, but disciples could also rent rooms to stay there if they had the required sect point. Pavilion had 6 floors overall. However, only the first 3 could be used to dine. The other 3 were reserved for the disciples who decided to stay there. Walking towards the east of the city, Shun Long quickly arrived in front of the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion. The pavilion was actually located just a 10-minute walk away from the arena as well. Walking through the pavilion's golden gates, Shun Long was soon greeted by a male waiter who asked him to take his order. Shun Long, however, shook his head as he said, I am here to rent a room. The waiter was startled. Rarely would anyone come to the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion to rent a room. It wasn't that their rooms were of low quality. No, it was simply a difference in price. A room in a random inn anywhere in the floating cloud city would cost you anywhere from 4 to 8 sect points for a month's stay. The Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion, however, priced its rooms starting at 100 sect points for each month. The waiter, who looked like he seemed to be in his early 20s, looked at Shun Long as he nodded his head and said, Each room in our pavilion's 4th floor costs 100 sect points for a month's stay. The 5th floor rooms are priced at 150 sect points a month, while the rooms on the 6th floor cost 200 sect points. Of course, the rooms on the 6th floor are much better than the rooms at the 5th or the 4th floor. Our pavilion had a rank 1 silver grade formation master personally inscribe runes to every room on the 6th floor, making cultivation inside them to be much faster compared to any other place inside the outer sect. Shun Long was intrigued as he then said, I'm curious to see how good a room inscribed with the runes of a rank 1 silver grade formation master actually is. As he finished speaking, Shun Long took out his sect-identifying jade and transferred 200 sect points to the waiter. The waiter bowed as he led Shun Long towards the 6th floor. Someone who could pay 200 sect points to rent a room for 1 month definitely wasn't a nobody. Arriving on the 4th floor, Shun Long only saw closed doors compared to the previous 3 floors where there were tables and chairs everywhere on the floor. On the 5th floor, the number of rooms seemed to be less than those of the 4th floor, while when Shun Long arrived on the 6th floor, he only saw 6 doors. The waiter looked at Shun Long and said, "Dear guest, you only have to put your sect identifying jade on the door and it will recognize you as the owner of the room for the next 1 month. Shun Long nodded his head as he pressed his sect jade on top of the door, and after a small buzzing noise sounded, the door opened to reveal a luxurious room inside. Seeing that Shun Long had opened the door, the waiter bowed and left the floor. Entering inside the room, Shun Long was stunned by its interior. Although the chi inside the room wasn't as good as the inner region of the demonic mountain region, it was almost on par with the safe area there. The room had a big bed in the middle, while from the wooden window on the wall, Shun Long could even see the arena that was close to the mystifying fragrance pavilion. There were even 2 special rooms inside, one specially made for formation masters while the other one was for alchemists. The room for formation masters had a large hammer as well as a small knife along with some other stuff inside it, while the room for alchemists had a pinnacle rank 3 cauldron that was actually on par with Shun Long's own. Ignoring everything else, Shun Long directly sat cross-legged on the bed as he sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time. In the 9 days that Shun Long stayed outside of the demonic mountain region, he had already reached the peak of rank 8 in chi condensation and was just a step away from the 9th rank. Since he wasn't in a secluded environment though, he hadn't dared to mess with the heaven-swallowing vine these days, and had simply let Little Black absorb the pure chi that the vine was emitting. Now, however, Shun Long sat down as his mind entered the Stone of Time. Sending his spiritual strength towards the heaven-swallowing vine, Shun Long noticed that the vine immediately turned to absorb his spiritual strength as if it was some sort of food. This was the way for Shun Long to connect with the vine. Sending his spiritual strength to it would let the vine become more familiar with Shun Long. The heaven-swallowing vine could absorb almost every kind of energy and turn them into pure chi. And yet it felt like Shun Long was trying to fill a bottomless hole no matter how much spiritual strength he was sending in. After a full hour, the vine finally stopped sapping his spiritual strength as it became completely docile to him. Even with Shun Long's strength, though that was on par with a rank 3 alchemist's, after a full hour he was completely spent as he lied down on the bed. Little Black laughed after seeing that the vine inside the Stone of Tai had now become completely obedient and said happily, "Congratulations, Master. This is a true heavenly treasure that will surely raise our strength." It was truly a waste for that silver-winged rock to hold on to such a priceless treasure. Through absorbing some chi in these 9 days, I can already feel that I am close to another breakthrough, and my strength will definitely reach the peak of rank 4 by then. Shun Long smiled as he heard Little Black's words, and after sitting cross-legged for a couple of hours to recover his spent spiritual strength, he mumbled to himself, "Little Black, let's see the effects of the heaven-swallowing vine now." Little Black's eyes shone as he heard Shun Long's words, while Shun Long sent a mental order to the heaven-swallowing vine to start absorbing the chi in the air around him. Shun Long knew that the heaven-swallowing vine had a lot of chi inside it that it had absorbed over the years, and every 30 years it would usually discharge it in the demonic mountain region. Now, however, that Shun Long had taken the vine from the central mountain and had formed a mental connection with it, he could choose when the vine would discharge this pure chi. However, Shun Long didn't want to have the vine discharge its chi recklessly like that. The silver-winged rock could control the heaven-swallowing vine and slowly absorb the chi for itself instead of having it discharge it all in the environment of the demonic mountain region. The rock would have long since broken through to the 5th rank. Shun Long didn't touch the chi reserves that the vine had inside it. He decided that it was better to use that chi when he was about to break through the earth grade. The heaven-swallowing vine then started absorbing the chi around Shun Long. During this time, Shun Long could feel that the vine was practically filtering the chi, condensing it more and more before it released it inside the Stone of Time. Shun Long activated the monarch's domain as he started absorbing the pure chi that the vine was releasing. As time went by, Shun Long absorbed more and more qi as he tried to create his 73rd ball of qi and enter the early rank 9 in qi condensation. The more that Shun Long advanced in his cultivation, the harder it became to advance into the next level. However, with the heaven-swallowing vine, the qi he was absorbing was simply incomparable to before. Soon, 12 hours had passed since Shun Long had started refining the qi that the heaven-swallowing vine was incessantly producing when a small popping sound could be heard from his body as he was still circulating the monarch's hourglass. In just 6 hours he had entered the early rank 9 in qi condensation. However, Shun Long didn't stop refining the qi even after his breakthrough. Instead, he started absorbing even more of it. Through 12 hours had passed since he had started cultivating, Shun Long had entered the middle rank 9 and yet his cultivation still didn't show any signs of stopping. Almost a full day later Shun Long had finally created his 81st ball of qi, reaching the peak of qi condensation. Only then did Shun Long stop absorbing any more qi from the heaven-swallowing vine. There was no way to create another ball of qi as the monarch's hourglass above his head was already full. However, after creating the 81st ball of qi, Shun Long noticed that there were inconsistencies in his previous balls of qi. The balls of qi he had created towards the latter parts of the qi condensation were much purer and brighter than the earlier ones. To reach the earth grade, Shun Long had to condense all his previous balls of qi into one. However, the strength of his first ball of qi when he reached the earth grade would be dependent on the strength of his previous balls of qi before they were merged together. Taking a deep breath, Shun Long started absorbing qi from the heaven-swallowing vine once more. He was ready to purify all of his previous balls of qi, bringing them at the same quality as the last one he had condensed. As Shun Long had started purifying his qi balls one by one, the entire floating cloud sect's upper echelons had another meeting inside the main hall of the inner city. These meetings, where every high-ranked elder of the sect was summoned, were supposed to be extremely rare, and unless the sect was facing an extremely serious situation they would never happen. And yet, around 2 months ago they had started their first meeting thanks to the mysterious expert who had appeared in the treasure pavilion, and now they started the second one. The sect master Lu Jian was sitting on the main seat, while everyone's eyes had turned towards Grand Elder Lan Hong, the bald Elder Zhu and Elder Lu Chung. Grand Elder, what happened for you to summon another sect meeting? Grand Elder, weren't you supposed to be in the demonic mountain region? Did something happen there? I heard that Grand Elder brought back more than 40,000 disciples this time from the outer sect examination. Discussions and questions were being thrown around the hall when Lu Jian raised his hand and said, "Silence." The discussions immediately stopped as Lu Jian continued. The Grand Elder must definitely have a good reason to summon everyone for a sect meeting. Everyone looked at Lan Hong, who then started explaining the situation at the demonic mountain region. At the same time, the exact same situation was taking place in the other 3 sects as well. The representatives of the 4 sects that had been in the demonic mountain region this time had been startled by the silver-winged rock's cry. If something had happened to the rock, then perhaps the sects would have a chance to head to the central mountain and get a hold of the treasure there. After Lan Hong had explained everything, there was absolute silence in the main hall as everyone's eyes had turned to Lu Jian on the main seat. Lu Jian wore a serious expression on his face as he said, "I will have to discuss this with De Chao and the rest. This is a serious matter that requires a lot of thought. Even if something had happened to that silver-winged rock and caused it to be injured, there are still other middle-rank 4 magic beasts inside the central region. And in case that the rock is actually alright, then stepping foot in that hellhole will mean death for us." The elders wore serious expressions as well when they heard Lu Jian's words, who was ready to meet up with the other sect masters and discuss about what course of action they should take. After all, a single floating cloud sect couldn't swallow the entire demonic mountain region, no matter how big their appetite was. Almost a month quickly went by while Shun Long was in seclusion, and serious changes had occurred in the sect when he finally opened his eyes. Through 1 month, Shun Long had finally purified all of his 80 balls of qi, bringing them to the level of the 81st. This was the absolute peak of qi condensation. His cultivation now was just a step from entering the Earth grade, while his strength would probably easily destroy any peak rank 3 Earth grade cultivator. Although Shun Long was just a step away from reaching the Earth grade, he was first planning to make a trip to the treasure pavilion and purchase some ingredients before attempting his breakthrough. Just as Shun Long reached the 3rd floor of the mystifying fragrance pavilion, however, the familiar silhouette of a fat young man dressed in green robes could be seen rushing at him before that person asked in a somewhat confused voice, "Bro, brother." Shun Long looked at this person and smiled as he nodded his head. This familiar person was Fatty Fu, and he was looking at Shun Long slightly dazed. The last time that these two had met was 2 months before the outer sect examination. However, just before the sect examination had started, Shun Long had refined the rank 2 inner destruction pill, and his body had changed from the inside out, bringing a huge transformation to his outer appearance. Shocked, Fatty Fu looked at him from close up, and after making sure that he was truly Shun Long, he said, "Brother, your face seems to have changed." Shun Long nodded his head as he smiled and walked towards an empty table. He gestured for Fatty to sit as well before calling over a waiter and saying, "Bring us 2 jars of mystifying fragrance wine. I'm also staying in a room on the 6th floor. Here are 4,400 sect points for the wine and for 2 months of payment for my room in advance." The waiter bowed as he received the 4,400 sect points and hurried to bring Shun Long's order, while Fatty Fu was looking at Shun Long with a wide-open mouth before he asked, "Brother, where did you find so many sect points?" Shun Long smiled as he opened his jar of wine, before he started explaining to Fatty Fu that he had gotten 1st place in the outer sect examination. Aside from some secrets that involved Little Black, the Central Region, the Profound Earth Fruit, and of course the Heaven-Swallowing Vine, Shun Long recounted most of his experiences inside the Demonic Mountain region to Fatty Fu. Nevertheless, Fatty Fu was still extremely shocked when he heard that Shun Long had taken 1st place in the sect on this outer sect examination. "Brother, I still can't believe that you managed to get 1st place when there were even peak rank 3 Earth grade disciples participating. Lu Wen will definitely be happy when he finds out about this too. Right, have you been in seclusion since you returned from the Demonic Mountain region?" Shun Long nodded his head at Fatty Fu's sudden question, who then continued, "In that case, let me fill you in on some things that you probably are unaware of. First of all, Lu Wen is in seclusion after his grandfather gave him the Golden Eagle Spirit Nourishing Pill, and if he successfully refines it, he will probably be on par with rank 3 bronze grade alchemists." Fatty then took a sip from his wine before leaning towards the table, and lowering his voice she continued speaking. "The next 2 things I'm going to tell you are extremely important. Firstly, I heard from my father that the Floating Cloud sect is going to ally with the other 3 sects that were in the Demonic Mountain region this time, and asking for the help of another very strong power. They want to probe the Demonic Mountain region. But since this mostly affects the upper echelons of the sect, it is useless for us to worry about it." Shun Long nodded his head as Fatty Fu continued, "Remember how I told you that you need to enter the top 100 ranks in the arena if you wish to have a chance to become an inner disciple? Well, my father said that in the next few months a secret realm will open, and that it's the chance of a lifetime for us. There will be many precious treasures inside, and even some elders of the sect will enter along with the disciples. However, although all of the inner disciples will be able to enter this secret realm, only the top 100 from the outer disciples will be allowed to enter." As he finished speaking, Fatty Fu took out 2 bottles of pills as he pushed them towards Shun Long and said, "These are half of the rank 2 congealing chi pills that my father has given me to reach the peak of the Earth grade. Although half of them won't be enough to reach the peak of the Earth grade, I hope that after refining them you can reach at least the late stages of the Earth grade, brother. Then we can enter the secret realm together." Fatty Fu saw that Shun Long didn't accept the 2 bottles of pills yet and said, "If you consider me your brother, then you have to accept the pills no matter what." Shun Long, however, shook his head as he smiled and simply said, "Thank you, brother." He then pushed the bottle of pills back to Fatty Fu as he said, "It's because I truly consider you my brother that I won't accept these." Shun Long now clearly understood Fatty's character even more than before. This gesture from Fatty couldn't be counted with money or with anything else. This was genuine brotherhood. Shun Long, however, had the heaven-swallowing vine, as well as enough medicinal ingredients to refine pills. Thus he had to give a good reason why he couldn't accept the congealing chi pills, one that Fu Li couldn't deny. Don't misunderstand, Fatty, I will definitely do my best to enter the top 100 in the arena ranks in the next few months. Truth is, however, that I am mainly a body-refining cultivator, so pills that aren't specifically meant for body refiners can't help me advance. Don't worry, soon I will be able to concoct some rank 2 bone-tempering pills or even some marrow-cleansing pills for myself. Fatty Fu was stunned when Shun Long continued. I need to make a trip to the treasure pavilion and purchase a few ingredients before entering seclusion once again. Fatty Fu then stood up as he quickly gulped down the rest of the wine in his jar before saying, Great. I also wanted to see my Jinjing. Shun Long looked at him questioningly when Fatty suddenly cleared his throat and said, Cough. What I meant was that it's better for me to accompany you and help you get a discount on the things that you want to purchase, brother. This is what brothers are for, right? Shun Long snorted, before also cracking a smile seeing Fatty's antics and said, Okay then, let's go together. Also, who is that Jinjing of yours? As they walked towards the treasure pavilion, Fatty Fu puffed out his chest as he heard Shun Long's question and responded proudly. It's my beautiful fiancée. You have also seen her before, back in the Alchemist's Guild. Shun Long tried to think for a while, and as he recalled the time when he had visited the Alchemist's Guild, a crazy idea swept through his mind as he looked at Fatty Fy and asked in a voice filled with disbelief. Fatty, you don't tell me that your fiancé is Lan Jinjing from the treasure pavilion? Fatty Fu started laughing proudly as he said, Of course, who do you think this young master is? Her Lan and my Fu family have had a great relationship for many years. Actually, there are 5 main families that have the most power in the Floating Cloud sect. My Fu family and the Lan family are among those 5. The other 3 are the Lu family, which Lu Wen comes from, the Meng family, and lastly the most powerful one is the family of the sect master, the Lu family. Every family has many powerful experts and most of them are high-rank elders inside the sect. Just as Fatty Fu finished speaking, they had already arrived outside of the treasure pavilion. As soon as they entered, the staff of the pavilion greeted Fatty Fu respectfully as Auctioneer Fu. Fu Li happily accepted everyone's greetings as he nodded while he took Shun Long deeper inside the treasure pavilion. After arriving on the 2nd floor, Fatty didn't stop as he continued straight towards the 3rd. The 3rd floor of the treasure pavilion was exclusive only for people with high status inside the sect. Of course, as the heir to the Fu family, Fatty Fu had no problem going upstairs and bringing people with him. Shun Long could also enter by himself using the VIP card that he had received from Yin Xing, but since he wasn't wearing his black robes he simply followed Fatty Fu. Entering the 3rd floor, Shun Long noticed that the items on display here were much better than the previous 2 floors. There were even parts of rank 3 magic beasts that were for sale. Shun Long even saw the beast core of a rank 3 red-scaled python being sold for 37.00 sect points. Fatty Fu looked at Shun Long and said, The best things of the treasure pavilion are always in this floor. There are even some things that you may not find in the auctions here. Fatty Fu followed Shun Long as he looked for medicinal herbs. Stopping in front of a certain counter, Shun Long was slightly taken aback as he looked at the price of a certain rank 3 medicinal herb. Oh, a rank 3 purple fragrant grass? I will take this stock, Shun Long said to the young man behind the counter whose eyes lit up as he heard him. Although the purple fragrant grass was a rank 3 medicinal herb, the truth was that nobody wanted to purchase it. Hence, even though it was a rank 3 medicinal ingredient, the treasure pavilion had priced it at only 1,000 sect points. The reason that nobody purchased the purple fragrant grass was because it was practically useless for alchemy. Couldn't be used as the main ingredient to concoct pills, and it could only be used as a side ingredient to improve the pill's fragrance, hence why no one had bothered to buy it. Shun Long, however, had some special plans for it as soon as he saw the grass. Looking around the 3rd floor, Shun Long also found some more medicinal ingredients that interested him, and after 2 hours, he had spent almost 15.00 sect points. As Shun Long and Fatty Fu were looking around the third floor, the door of one of the private rooms opened, and a pair of beautiful women attracted everyone's attention as they walked side by side. Both women were around the same height as Shun Long, and they seemed to be wearing the green robes of an inner sect disciple. Behind the two women was a handsome young man in green clothes around 19 years old, who seemed to be fawning over one of the two women. Shun Long too had turned his attention towards them as well, and surprisingly, both women were also looking towards him and Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu smiled brightly as he exclaimed happily, "Ding." These two were the most beautiful women in the floating cloud city, Lan Jingjing and Lu Mei. Lan Jingjing was a bit annoyed as she looked at Fatty Fu, but when she thought that he could take care of the guy pestering her senior sister, her eyes lit up as she told him, "Fu Li, come here." Fatty Fu smiled brightly as he hurriedly grabbed Shun Long's and brought him along to introduce him. "Brother, this is my fiancée Jingjing. Jingjing, this is my brother Shun. You and Sister Lu have also briefly met him before at the Alchemist's Guild." Lan Jingjing and Lu Mei were astonished to see Fatty Fu bringing someone with him. As the young master of the Fu family, Fu Li didn't have that many people that he called friends and even fewer that he called brothers. Given his frank character, bringing someone along with him, and especially one that he called brother, meant that he must have a really good relationship with this person. Lan Jingjing and Lu Mei both scrutinized Shun Long with their gazes, trying to see when they had met this handsome man before. Shun Long's and Lu Mei's gazes met, and he was once again mesmerized by her beautiful black eyes and peerlessly beautiful face. Lu Mei was also stunned for a second as her gaze was attracted by Shun Long's deep eyes when a sudden voice came from the young man behind her, drawing everyone's attention as he said, "Fu Li, stop spouting nonsense. How could just any stray dog know Sister Mei?" Everyone's attention had turned to this young man who was looking at Shun Long with a hostile gaze. He had caught him looking at Lu Mei, but what had frustrated him even more was that Lu Mei seemed to be dazed for a second looking at him as well. Cold and proud Lu Mei, who had never showed him any special attention, had her gaze glued to another man. Fatty Fu was the first to react as he looked at this man, and in a voice full of anger he said, "Meng Xingyi, you pathetic bootlicker, how dare you insult my brother? Why is trash like you even following Sister Lu and my Jingjing anyway?" The young master of the Meng family was furious after hearing Fatty Fu's insulting words, but before he could even respond to him, Lu Mei's cold voice sounded as she said, "Young Master Meng, please don't call me Sister Mei as if we are intimate together. You and I barely know each other." Lu Mei was extremely annoyed by Meng Xingyi's words. Although he had occasionally pestered her privately calling her Sister Mei, even though she had expressed her dislike numerous times, calling her like that in public was almost hinting that they were closer than they really are. However, although Lu Mei disliked Meng Xingyi, she had her own personal problems as well. Lan Jingjing, however, gave a thumbs up to Fatty Fu secretly as she then said, "Senior sister, I had an appointment with Fu Li today, can you please accompany me?" Lu Mei nodded her head at Lan Jingjing as they followed behind Fu Li, who was heading with Shun Long towards one of the private rooms in the back. Meanwhile, Meng Xingyi was still like a statue in the middle of the third floor, as everyone watched him being left alone. His face had turned scarlet, unknown if he was embarrassed or angry as he looked at Lu Mei's and Lan Jingjing's back thoughtfully before he turned to leave the floor while he thought to himself, "Lu Mei, you ungrateful bitch. I have been chasing you for over a year and yet you still refuse to acknowledge me even after all of my sincerity? Watch how I make you pay in the future." As Meng Xingyi left the third floor of the treasure pavilion, Fu Li and Shun Long along with the two girls had just entered in one of the private rooms near the back. As soon as the door closed, Lan Jingjing started laughing as she said, "Fu Li, good job. Although you can be considered a lazy pig most of the time and Grandpa Fu is right to beat you, you really made me happy today seeing Meng Xingyi's bitter face like that." Lu Mei was also smiling as she heard that, while Fu Li had a serious expression on his face as he asked Lan Jingjing, "Meng Xingyi can be a real problem for Sister Lu though. He has been trying to court her for such a long time, and his father has even asked for permission from the sect master. Although the sect master said that he will consider this matter, wasn't today equivalent of slapping Meng Xingyi in the face?" Lan Jingjing seemed as if she wanted to say something, but she then looked warily at Shun Long before she threw a look at Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu understood her meaning as he said, "This is my brother Shun Long Jinjing, you don't have to look warily at him. You had also seen him when he had come in conflict inside the Alchemist's Guild with that Budui. Anyways, he is my brother, you don't have to worry about anything and can speak freely." Lan Jinjing and Lu Mei turned to look at Shun Long in astonishment as they suddenly remembered that scene from 4 months ago in the Alchemist's Guild. Lu Mei then smiled as she looked at Shun Long and said, "So that's why you looked somewhat familiar." Seeing Lu Mei's beautiful smile, Shun Long felt his heart stirring for a few moments. However, despite her enchanting appearance and even though he had a relatively good opinion of her, Shun Long wasn't going to judge a woman simply based on her looks. Lan Jinjing nodded her head and looked at Fatty Fu as she said, "Since no one of us here have any connections with the Meng family, I will speak freely. Although Meng Xingyi is an eyesore and has pestered senior sister a lot, we have put up with him since his Meng family has a good relationship with their Lu family. However, today he declared to senior sister that he will bring his father and officially ask for senior sister's hand in marriage in a few months. Senior sister said that she doesn't intend to marry him, and yet all he said was that it doesn't matter as they can learn to love each other in the future." As soon as Lan Jinjing finished speaking, silence permeated the room for a while until Lu Mei looked at Lan Jinjing and said, "It's okay, I will return and speak to my father about this. I think that he will understand. But senior sister..." "No need to worry, I understand what you want to say, but you also know the position that I am in." Lan Jinjing nodded her head and didn't continue to speak. Lu Mei looked at Shun Long's eyes and noticed that his eyes were also looking at hers with hints of curiosity as well as interest inside them. Lu Mei blushed and bowed her head at him as she said, "I apologize if I have caused you any trouble." Shun Long shook his head as he smiled at her while Fu Li responded happily, "No trouble, Sister Lu, no trouble at all. Of course she didn't cause you any trouble, Fu Li." Lan Jinjing looked at Fu Li as she spoke matter-of-factly before hooking her arm around Lu Mei's. After the two women bade their farewells and left hurriedly to find Lu Mei's father, Fu Li turned his head to look at Shun Long and asked, "Brother Shun, have you fallen for Sister Lu?" Shun Long smiled as he shook his head and said, "I don't know if I have fallen for her, but I am definitely interested in her." "Haha, but I think that Sister Lu has definitely fallen for Brother Shun. I saw how her gaze was locked at you the entire time we were speaking. Haha, congratulations, brother. I as your brother will definitely support you." However, Fatty Fu's expression turned serious as he remembered something and said, "However, brother, if you really want to court Sister Lu, then it will definitely be very hard. Putting aside Meng Xingyi, that piece of trash from the Meng family, Sister Lu has many admirers even inside the inner sect. And although she definitely seemed to be interested in you, her opinion actually won't matter at all." Shun Long looked at Fatty Fu puzzledly, who then continued explaining, "Right now, if it's true that Meng Xingyi said that he will bring his father and propose to Sister Lu's father, then he will definitely accept. Sister Lu's father is the sect master, and his Lu family has always had good relations with the Meng family." Shun Long then couldn't help but ask, "Even if they have good relations and even if her father is the sect master, is it worth to sacrifice his daughter's happiness if she doesn't want to marry someone? After all, since the Lu family is the strongest in the floating cloud sect, then the Meng family shouldn't be able to pressure the sect master into marrying his daughter." Fatty Fu shook his head as he then said, "You are right, brother. However, things aren't as simple as they seem. In reality, although Sister Lu Mei's status in the sect is second to no one as the daughter of the sect master, there is a known rumor going around inside the powerful families of the sect. It is said that Sister Lu's elder brother hates her a lot, since a little more than a year ago when his best friend, the third son of the Flying Sword sect master, came to ask for her hand in marriage, she directly refused him, saying that she doesn't want to marry him and that she will be the one who will choose who she marries. Ever since then, Lu Chongpun, Sister Lu's elder brother, has had very strained relations with the Flying Sword sect. Since Sister Lu's elder brother is the son of the sect master's first wife and he is also going to become the next sect master, his opinion is taken very seriously by the sect master. Because of his extraordinary talent, the sect master views him even more importantly than the sect itself. Meanwhile, although Sister Lu is the child that the sect master had with his second wife, her status in the sect is far below her elder brothers. Lately, the Meng family is also said to have come very close to Lu Chongpu as well, so if he really decides to intervene on Meng Xingyi's behalf, considering how much the sect master listens to him, there is a very high chance that the marriage will actually go through. Master, if you want this Lu girl, then you don't really need to care about anyone and what they think. If worst comes to worst, then I can come out and destroy everyone here. Shun Long smiled as he heard Little Black's suggestion and said as he looked at Fu Li, "Fatty, do me a favor. I'm planning to enter seclusion, so keep an eye on Lu Mei's situation, and if something really happens, send someone to let me know. The truth is that I am really interested in her, and I don't want someone else to get her." Haha, that's the spirit. I was already going to keep an eye on the situation anyway. The truth is that my family as well as the Lus and the Lands don't want for Sister Lu to get married to the Meng family, so if something really happens, they will all definitely oppose it. This concerns the balance of power in the Floating Cloud sect after all. Rest assured. If something really ends up happening, then I will send someone to let you know, brother. Also, since I have told my grandfather about you, he said that he wants to meet this brother of mine who has such an amazing talent. So when you are free, you should come with me to the inner city. Shun Long nodded his head as he said, "Thank you, brother. For now, I still have to enter seclusion and increase my strength if I want to reach the top 100 in the arena and enter the secret realm, but you can tell your grandfather that I will definitely come and visit in the future." After bidding farewell to Fatty, Shun Long decided to directly return to the mystifying fragrance pavilion. As he entered his room, Shun Long sat down cross-legged on his bed, and he seemed to have remembered something as he took a look inside the spatial ring that Administrator Feng had given to him as his reward. The space inside this spatial ring wasn't big, barely 10 square meters big, and as expected, a black dagger with small runes on its surface was inside it. It was obvious just from its aura that this dagger was a silver-grade weapon. I guess that's the reward for entering the top 10, a weapon from a silver-grade formation master. It's too bad that I am not proficient in any weapons, so this dagger is useless to me for now. After putting the dagger back in his spatial ring, Shun Long planted everything that he had purchased today from the treasure pavilion inside the Stone of Time before he said, "Little Black, as I attempt to break through to the Earth grade this time, you should also try to break through as well. The chi inside the heaven-swallowing vine is more than enough for both of us." As Shun Long finished speaking, he sent a mental message to the vine to release part of its stored chi inside the Stone of Time. Activating the monarch's hourglass, Shun Long's body greedily absorbed the pure chi from the heaven-swallowing vine as he started his breakthrough. The heaven-swallowing vine was constantly filling the Stone of Time with its pure chi, while Shun Long was greedily absorbing as much as his body could handle. At the same time, in the monarch's hourglass, the 81 balls of chi were being compressed again and again. Shun Long's aim was to compress them all into one ball of chi that would contain even more power than the 81 balls combined. Shun Long was surprised to find out that the pure chi from the vine was even more potent than what he had originally estimated. Little Black also listened to Shun Long as he too started to absorb the chi from the heaven-swallowing vine around him. For 3 hours, Little Black had absorbed nearly 1/3 of the pure chi inside the Stone of Time, until he finally started his breakthrough to rank 4. In reality, Little Black was close to breaking through even without the heaven-swallowing vine. However, it would have taken him at least 2 more months to reach that point. Meanwhile, inside Shun Long's body, the 81 balls of chi had been compressed down to just 3. The energy inside these 3 balls of chi was so powerful that Shun Long was finding it hard to keep them under control as he tried to merge them into one. Sweat had started dripping from his head as he had now reached the most crucial phase of his breakthrough. His mind was entirely focused on merging the 3 balls of chi into one. This process required absolute focus, and every second felt like an eternity. Seconds turned to minutes, and minutes slowly turned into hours. Almost 1 full day had passed, and inside the Stone of Time, above Shun Long's head, there weren't 3 white balls of chi in the monarch's hourglass anymore. Instead, only a small, silver-white ball was left in their place. This was the ball of qi made with the help of the pure qi from the heaven-swallowing vine, as well as the 81 balls of qi of the qi condensation stage. And yet, Shun Long didn't seem to have any intentions to stop, as his body started absorbing the qi around him even more greedily. A day later, there seemed to be 2 identical silver-white balls of qi in the monarch's hourglass. Shun Long's cultivation was rising non-stop, and 10 days later, he had already reached the peak of rank 1 in Earth grade. And yet, although the qi inside the Stone of Time had started to thin, Shun Long didn't stop cultivating, and a few days later he had already reached the early rank 2. Early rank 2. Middle rank 2. Peak rank 2. Early rank 3. Half a month went by and Shun Long was now just a step away from the middle rank 3 in Earth grade. But what horrified Shun Long was the incredibly high requirements of the monarch's hourglass. With every minor rank that he advanced, the monarch's hourglass required more and more qi. Finally, 5 days later, another popping sound was heard from his body as his cultivation reached the middle rank 3. Little Black, who had long ago finished his breakthrough, was staring at Shun Long with eyes shining brightly. Nearly a month has passed and Master has already reached the middle rank 3 in Earth grade. However, it seems like the qi from the heaven-swallowing vine has almost all been sucked dry by Master. A few hours later, Shun Long's cultivation had already stabilized at the middle of rank 3 in Earth grade as he opened his eyes. However, the moment that he opened his eyes, Shun Long felt a stinging pain while the Stone of Time started rotating inside his spiritual space. Shun Long almost felt as if needles were piercing his eyes, and yet he couldn't even close them, while Little Black could only look at him horrified without having any way to help him. It took almost an hour for the pain to start subsiding, and yet there was still a numbing feeling in his eyes. Turning his head to look at Little Black inside the Stone of Time, Shun Long noticed that the black dragon was looking at him tongue-tied. Little Black watched the entire process as Shun Long's eyes had turned into a golden color, while they were also emitting a faint blue light. As Shun Long turned to look at Little Black, a scene suddenly appeared in his mind where the black dragon stood in front of him and said, "Master, your eyes, their color." 5 seconds later, Shun Long's eyes had turned back to normal, only to notice that Little Black was looking at him, repeating the exact same words after just a few seconds later. "Master, your eyes, their color." Shun Long was stunned as a feeling of déjà vu overcame him before he felt something akin to a small explosion coming from his spiritual space. It was at this moment that the Stone of Time had stopped rotating, and it radiated a horrifying suppressive aura that made even Little Black, who had just experienced a major breakthrough, feel like he was just an ant. Scene after scene flashed by Shun Long's eyes, as they had unknowingly turned back to that golden color again. A bit more than an hour later, Shun Long woke up and sent his consciousness back to his body before he sat up from his bed. Little Black, who saw that he had finally woken up, then asked, "Master, what happened to your eyes earlier? Are you okay?" Although Shun Long's eyes had turned back to normal now, Little Black wouldn't forget that they had changed colors earlier. Shun Long was ecstatic as he thought of his new ability and explained to Little Black, "Don't worry, I'm okay. I just didn't expect that the Stone of Time would have such a gift for me as soon as I advanced to the Earth grade." Little Black was confused as Shun Long then said, "Take a look at my eyes." As he finished speaking, Shun Long circulated his qi to flow into his eyes. His eyes immediately turned golden and Shun Long then mumbled, "Master, what is this?" Almost at the same time, Little Black also said, "Master, what is this?" The black dragon was stunned for a second, until a horrifying thought flashed through his mind and his breathing suddenly became faster. Shun Long saw that Little Black had an idea of what was happening, but he wasn't planning on keeping it a secret from him anyway, so he explained in a serious tone, "I can glimpse into the future." As soon as these words left his mouth, they were akin to an explosion as they reached Little Black's ears, making the dragon unable to even speak. Shun Long, who saw Little Black's reaction, continued, "When my eyes turn golden, I can glimpse about 5 seconds ahead into the future. If used properly, this ability can even be stronger than my monarch's domain." Little Black nodded his head at Shun Long's words as he said, Master, this ability will definitely be much stronger than your monarch's domain. Just thinking about the possible uses of this ability, both Shun Long and Little Black were trembling with excitement. Shun Long then asked Little Black with a hint of expectation in his tone. Little Black, what about your breakthrough? Did you succeed? The black dragon roared as he spread his wings and revealed his aura that had reached the early rank 4. Thankfully, Little Black was still inside the Stone of Time, and his aura was contained inside it, or else the entire sect would have been alarmed. Then he said proudly as he looked at Shun Long, I have already reached the early rank 4 master. If I were to fight that silver-winged rock again, I am more than 80% confident that I could beat it. Shun Long was happy that Little Black managed to increase his strength as well, and after sitting down and thinking seriously for a bit, he decided, I can still advance my strength while I let the heaven-swallowing vine recharge the pure chi inside it, but it's better if I get accustomed to my current strength first. I can take this chance to speed up the maturity of the profound earth fruit, the purple fragrant grass and the other medicinal herbs, and then refine the pill I need. As Shun Long sorted out his thoughts, he sat cross-legged on his bed and sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time, in the place where Little Black stayed, and the heavenly swallowing vine as well as the rest of his medicinal herbs were stored. As his consciousness entered inside, Shun Long was stunned. Somehow the space inside had grown from 30 square meters all the way to 300. Little Black noticed the stunned Shun Long and said, Right, Master, I noticed that the space here grew larger as soon as your cultivation entered the Earth grade. Shun Long was happy that the space inside had actually increased. With Little Black practically living inside here, the heavenly swallowing vine and all the planted medicinal herbs, as well as the dozens of rank 3 beast corpses, there really wasn't any more room left here before. But now, Shun Long could plant as many medicinal herbs he wanted, or store magic beast corpses without worrying about the space inside. Sitting on his bed, Shun Long used his chi to hasten the growth of the medicinal herbs inside. For 3 hours, his chi had been completely depleted, but the effects on the medicinal herbs were simply astonishing. After advancing to the middle of rank 3 in Earth grade, Shun Long's chi, be it in quality or quantity, was incomparable to before. Shun Long spent the next 3 days growing the medicinal herbs in the Stone of Time, as well as getting accustomed to his increase in strength after his consecutive breakthroughs. 3 days later, he had more than 5 profound earth fruits, while his stalks of purple fragrant grass had reached more than 20. Shun Long took out a few big wooden barrels that he had purchased from the treasure pavilion and sat down inside the special alchemy room as he started warming the peak rank 3 bronze-grade medicinal cauldron that was placed inside. Little Black was somewhat puzzled as he asked curiously, Master, why aren't you using your own cauldron if you want to refine pills? Shun Long shook his head as he said, My cauldron is too small to refine what I want this time. Little Black curiously watched Shun Long, who had just started his preparations. As Shun Long sat down in front of the medicinal cauldron, more than a dozen rank 2 medicinal herbs, as well as almost all his stalks of purple fragrant grass, were all neatly arranged in front of him in precisely 20 different sets. After the cauldron was warm enough, Shun Long started throwing in the rank 2 medicinal herbs, adding the purple fragrant grass last. After advancing to the middle rank 3 in Earth grade, Shun Long could easily refine rank 3 medicinal herbs like the purple fragrant grass. He assumed that even the profound earth fruit wouldn't pose much of a problem either with his current spiritual strength that had advanced by leaps and bounds along with his cultivation. Half an hour later, Shun Long opened the cauldron and a red-colored fluid could be seen inside instead of a pill. Little Black, who saw this liquid, immediately said, Master, don't worry, everyone fails in alchemy sometimes. There are no alchemists that can always succeed every single time. Shun Long, however, didn't seem disheartened at all. Instead, he lifted the alchemy cauldron that was more than twice the size of his own, as he poured the red-colored liquid in the wooden barrels. After emptying the red liquid from the medicinal cauldron, Shun Long started refining again. Half an hour later, Little Black was stunned as he saw the same result inside the cauldron for the second time. Following the same movements as before, Shun Long poured the red-colored liquid inside the wooden barrel. He continued this process 18 more times until 3 wooden barrels were completely filled. Shun Long's entire room was now permeated by an intoxicating fragrant smell that even wafted outside his room. After sealing up the barrel tops, Little Black was surprised to see Shun Long placing the barrels inside the Stone of Time as he buried them in the field along with his medicinal ingredients. A fragrant smell assaulted Little Black, who was now looking expectantly at the 3 barrels. Shun Long smiled as he saw the eager black dragon and said, "Although we will have to wait for a few days, I'm sure that the wait will be worth it." Little Black nodded his head as he heard this, and he took a deep breath, inhaling the lingering smell in the air. Now that the barrels were sealed, the intoxicating aroma had stopped diffusing in the air. Unknown to Shun Long, a commotion had already started in the upper 4th and 5th levels of the mystifying fragrance pavilion as people were now trying to locate the origin of this aroma. Just as Shun Long stood up from his bed, his sect jade started shining as 2 words appeared on it. Arena Challenge 689. Shun Long's eyes shone as he understood what this meant. It was said that those ranked in the top 1,000 in the arena could directly ask for this kind of challenge once per week. The challenged would then be notified by a message in their sect identifying jade, stating the arena rank of the challenger. As Shun Long opened the door of his room then, he saw a young man in yellow robes sitting on the ground, waiting outside. The young man's eyes shone as he saw Shun Long, and he quickly sat up as he bowed and said, "Senior brother, my name is Jie Chu. Young Master Fu has sent me here to deliver a message to senior brother." Shun Long guessed that the message would probably be about Lu Mei and Meng Xingyi as he then nodded his head and asked, "What did the message say?" Jie Chu looked around to see if there was anyone spying on them before he lowered his voice as he said, "The Meng family will ask for her hand in marriage after the secret realm closes." As Jie Chu finished speaking, he bowed again, and without another word he quickly left the mystifying fragrance pavilion. Shun Long watched the disappearing Jie Chu and thought seriously for a while before he also left the mystifying fragrance pavilion as he headed towards the arena. "Master, it looks like the Meng family must have come to some sort of agreement with Lu Changpun if they are going to make their move after the secret realm closes." Shun Long agreed with Little Black's words and nodded his head while he kept walking towards the arena as he thought, "There is definitely more to this situation than what meets the eye." The arena was just a 10-minute walk from the mystifying fragrance pavilion, and soon Shun Long had arrived in front of that huge building. Since there didn't seem to be any important matches today, there wasn't any huge crowd queuing up to enter inside either. Through entering the building, Shun Long first walked towards a counter with the words registration above it. A red-haired man was waiting there, and as soon as he saw Shun Long, his eyes lit up as he said, "Surprised to see me?" Shun Long shook his head as he had already thought earlier of who his challenger would be. There were very few people that would specifically challenge him in the arena as he didn't even have a rank here yet, and one of them was precisely Guan Hong. Guan Hong looked at Shun Long, who didn't seem to show any shock, and raised his voice as he said, "Don't tell me you are going to chicken out now that you know who the person that challenged you is. Aren't you the strongest who won first place in the outer sect exam 2 months ago?" As Guan Hong had raised his voice intentionally, the disciples around them all turned their attention towards him and Shun Long. "So this is the person who took first place in our sect in this outer sect examination? I heard that he is nothing much. This batch of new disciples is really weak." "I agree. I heard that even the person who got first place from our floating cloud sect only managed to get the 4th place in the overall rankings of this year's joint sect exam." Guan Hong's expression turned somewhat ugly while Shun Long looked at him and nodded his head as he said, "Don't worry, I accept." Then he turned his head to look at the female outer disciple who was in charge of the registration as he asked, "Can you tell me the rules of the arena here?" The female disciple looked at Shun Long in a weird manner. Was this handsome young man going to fight in the arena for the first time? But the person who challenged him is at the top 700. She smiled at Shun Long as she said, "Firstly, you need to be registered in the arena if you want to participate in a fight. Please give me your sect identifying jade." As Shun Long handed his sect jade to that woman, he saw her pulling out a black jade from the bottom of the counter as she placed it above Shun Long's sect jade for a few breaths of time. A light then came out from the black jade as it entered Shun Long's red jade. The woman then placed the black jade at the bottom of the counter, and as she returned Shun Long's jade back, she said, "You are now officially registered in the arena. If you want to participate in a fight, you are free to challenge anyone that is not at the top 100 rankings. A person can only refuse a challenge if he has already fought for that day. Otherwise, refusing a challenge will count as a loss and the challenger can then take the ranking of the challenged. Now please take a look behind you." As she finished speaking, the woman pointed at a big wall behind Shun Long that was filled with various names and numbers. As Shun Long turned to look at this wall, the woman explained, "This is the top 100 arena rankings. Only the top 100 strongest outer disciples can be ranked here." At the top of the rankings there were 3 names shining with a golden color that were different from the rest. As Shun Long's eyes glanced over them, the person sitting at the top of the list shocked him. Rank 1. Name Wenziheo. Wins 147 losses 2 foot. Both Guanhong and Shun Long were now looking at the name at the top of the list in the arena rankings. When the woman saw them, she started explaining. "That person is the strongest out of all the outer disciples, Senior Brother Wenziheo. It is said that Senior Brother 1 is not only extremely talented, but he is also said to possess some kind of special physique that is unbeatable within the same level of cultivation." Guanhong nodded his head, and it seemed that he already knew about this person. Shun Long's gaze moved downwards as he observed the other names as well. Person ranked second was named Kong Sun, and although his wins and losses weren't as exaggerated as Wenziheo's, he still had 110 wins and just 33 losses. Shun Long kept observing the names in the rankings until he caught sight of a familiar name near the bottom of the list. Rank 93. Name Xiaojian. Wins 36 losses 20 foot. The woman was also staring at the rankings as she said, "Belonging to the top 100 is a form of honor for every outer sect disciple, and only the people ranked 101 to 200 are allowed to challenge them. Putting the top 100 aside, even entering the top 1000 is exceedingly difficult. The sect has millions of outer sect disciples, but only about 200.000 of them have reached the Earth grade and participate in the arena rankings. To be in the top 1000 among 200.000 disciples, I'm sure you can guess how difficult that is." As the woman finished speaking, Guanhong looked at Shun Long provocatively as he puffed out his chest, before the woman continued explaining. "After entering the top 1000, one can issue an official challenge to another person directly through the sect identifying jades, even if the other person isn't registered in the arena yet, just like Senior Brother Guanhong did today. Cultivators at the top 1000 ranks and above will also receive spirit stones from the sect every month depending on their rank. I don't know why Senior Brother Guan challenged you, but I suggest that you forfeit the match. Anyway, in your case, since Senior Brother Guan is higher ranked than you, even after forfeiting you won't drop in rank. Although you can't cripple or kill others in the arena, accidents have happened in the past as well." Shun Long shook his head after hearing the woman's words, and having understood the rules, he turned to look at Guanhong before saying, "Let's go then." Guanhong was excited seeing that Shun Long didn't choose to forfeit from the challenge, and he followed him inside the arena. Guanhong and Shun Long both had to wait as there was already a battle going on inside. 10 minutes later, as soon as the previous battle finished, Guanhong jumped at the center of the stage. Some of the disciples in the audience immediately recognized him as they said, "It's Senior Brother Guanhong." "Senior Brother Guan? Who is that?" "It's Senior Brother Guan who got the second place in the outer sect examination. 6 days ago, he even beat Senior Brother Yu He and entered the top 1000 in the arena rankings." "The top 1000? Then, is his opponent today also in the top 1000? "I don't know, I haven't seen this person before." After seeing Shun Long, none of the disciples in the crowd recognized him as they watched him enter the arena. Shun Long, who had just advanced to the middle rank 3 in Earth grade, was also excited to test out his new strength. Guanhong then took out a saber from his spatial ring, and as he held it in front of his chest, he said in a voice that oozed confidence, "I had already warned you that the day would come when I would challenge you in the arena, since you stole my first place in the outer sect exam. I'm sure that you accepted today's challenge thinking that you have a chance against me, but it's time to show you the difference between us. As Guanhong finished speaking, he completely unleashed his aura, and he surprisingly had already advanced to the early rank 4 of the Earth grade in these 2 months that he had returned to the sect. Shun Long wasn't surprised at all by this, and after looking at Guanhong in the eyes as he finally spoke. You have been boasting since the first moment I saw you. You even challenged me in an arena fight after breaking through to rank 4 in Earth grade because you felt that I stole your spotlight in the outer sect exam, and you are certain that this is your chance to take it back, right? After taking a breath, Shun Long continued. But what you don't seem to understand is that from the start I didn't even care about you. I have to admit that if this was 2 months ago, then you would definitely be a troublesome foe to deal with, but now? As Shun Long finished speaking, he unleashed his aura of a middle rank 3 Earth grade cultivator that made Guanhong suddenly laugh. Just a middle rank 3 Earth grade disciple and you dare to stand in front of me? Brat, I don't know what trick you used to get first place in the sect exam, but you have no chance against me. Holding his saber with his right hand, Guanhong rushed towards Shun Long as he sent slash after slash at him. Shun Long's eyes turned golden as he dodged left and right, avoiding Guanhong's slashes by a hair's breadth. Shun Long didn't even activate his monarch's domain as he tested his golden eyes. Seeing in the future and knowing every single attack that your opponent would do was a massive advantage. 2 minutes later, the crowd had started booing as they said, "Why are you only dodging? Are you even a man? Fight! Fight senior brother Guan fairly." However, there were others within the crowd that argued with these people as they said, "Fairly? Is dodging not a part of fighting? That's right, idiot. Senior Sister Tong is also an expert at dodging. Are you implying that Senior Sister isn't fighting fairly in the arena?" As the arguments were getting more heated in the arena, Guanhong had started to lose his patience when he sent a wide slash towards Shun Long's face. Shun Long's golden eyes shone brightly with a feint of blue light inside them as he then tightly clenched his right fist and took a step back. It was simply one step, and yet Guanhong's slash completely missed its target. Shun Long gathered his physical strength in his right fist, as he then sent a full-powered punch at Guanhong's ribs that were completely undefended when he had lost his balance after his wide saber slash. Crack. A cracking sound was heard from Guanhong's ribs as he was sent flying for a dozen meters into the air, before he fell on the ground sideways, his right hand still clutching his saber. Shun Long looked at him with apathetic eyes, not feeling even the slightest sense of pity for his plight as he asked, "Give up yet?" Shun Long's golden eyes shone as he saw Guanhong's left hand grabbing a concealed dagger from his robes and throwing it right at his face. Without giving him a chance, Shun Long sent a kick at Guanhong's body, who was then sent flying once more as it crashed in the arena walls. Guanhong spat out blood from the impact as his eyes bulged out before he lost consciousness. As soon as Guanhong's body fell to the ground, Shun Long felt that his sect jade was warming up as 3 numbers appeared on it. 689. Crowd was completely shocked as everyone had now fallen silent. An expert at the top 1,000 ranks in the arena had been beaten senseless and toyed around as if he was a kid before falling unconscious. Amidst this silence, the voice of a woman in the audience was particularly ear-piercing as she said, "Brother, he is the one. Brother, he is the one." Everyone in the audience turned to look at the source of this voice, only to see a pretty young woman with blonde hair, with a young man who was standing next to her. The man had blonde hair and was carrying a large spear over 2 meters, 6.6 feet long on his back. Exclamations sounded from the crowd as people immediately recognized this blonde-haired man. "It's Lei Pong, senior brother Lei. Also, who is that beautiful woman beside him? Is it his girlfriend?" A disciple slapped this person in the head as he said, "Idiot, shut your mouth. That is senior brother Lei's sister. I think her name is Lei Xiang." "Ah. Then why are they here? Does senior brother Lei have a fight today? Don't tell me that they came for Guanhong. How should I know, idiot?" As the disciples in the crowd were discussing among themselves, guessing the reason that Lei Pong had come in the arena today, Lei Xiong's eyes were staring hatefully at Shun Long at the center of the stage. Lei Peng looked at Shun Long, who was also staring at him and his sister nonchalantly. Lei Peng then jumped all the way from the audience seats, landing straight at the center of the arena, his eyes glued at Shun Long in front of him as he asked curiously, "You are the person who dared to rob my sister during the sect exam? Kid, do you know who I am? If you beg my sister for forgiveness, perhaps you will still be able to walk by yourself out then." Shun Long looked at Lei Peng, who was caressing his spear in his hands, before he nodded his head seriously and said, "You are the person who lost to Xiaojian 2 months ago, right? What was your name?" Lei Bong. Crowd was silenced after hearing Shun Long's serious words, while Lei Peng himself looked at him with narrowed eyes. "Brat, you only have one chance. Kneel and apologize right now, and then crawl in front of my sister as you ask for forgiveness. Otherwise..." Shun Long's eyes narrowed as he asked Lei Peng, "Otherwise what? You will kill me? You will cripple me? Even if the sect rules permitted it, do you even think that you have that ability?" Crowd exploded in discussions as they heard the exchange of words between Shun Long and Lei Peng. This guy dares to taunt Senior Lei even though he knows that he is the strongest person outside the top 100? Is he tired of living? I bet that this kid doesn't know that Senior Lei Peng can find other ways to make his life hard inside the sect. That's why he is acting arrogant now. He is dead meat for sure. Senior brother Lei will definitely beat him badly. "Brother, you have to take revenge for me." Even Lei Xiong started shouting from the audience seats after hearing Shun Long's words. Lei Peng looked at Shun Long placidly, but he still couldn't hide the anger in his voice as he said, "Don't tell me that you are all talk and you don't dare to fight, kid." Shun Long looked at him mockingly as he asked, "So I, a middle stage rank 3 Earth grade cultivator, have to fight a peak rank 5 Earth grade like yourself just because you say so? Are you an idiot?" Just as Shun Long saw that Lei Peng was finally angry, he smiled as he said, "Actually, it's not like we can't fight at all. You just have to be willing to put a wager for our match. What do you think?" As Shun Long finished speaking, he removed 100 spirit stones from his spatial ring as he showed them to Lei Peng and said, "How about it?" Lei Peng's eyes shone brightly as he said, 100 spirit stones? Haha. Brat, since you have brought gifts, I will gladly accept. Crowd was once more astonished as they heard that these white stones that Shun Long was holding were spirit stones. What? These are 100 spirit stones? This kid is definitely the idiot here. Damn, Senior Brother Lei is so lucky. I wish I could get paid to beat people I don't like as well. Even if you could get paid, you first have to be strong enough to do it. Didn't you see that kid beating Guanhong senseless earlier? Can you beat a rank 4 Earth grade expert yourself? So what, idiot? Don't compare Guanhong to Senior Brother Lei. Shun Long and Lei Peng didn't pay any attention to the crowd, as they both called for a representative of the arena who handled official bets during fights, before they handed 100 spirit stones each. The winner of the fight would take all 200 of them. Little Black had already told Shun Long that he will need spirit stones if he wants to swiftly advance to the heaven grade. Although cultivators at the peak of the Earth grade could also advance to the heaven grade by slowly absorbing the Earth Chi, even with the heaven swallowing vine, if Shun Long didn't have any spirit stones it would him take at least a few years to advance. That's how Shun Long came up with the thought of scamming some spirit stones from Lei Peng. Although Lei Peng was strong, as long as he hadn't reached the peak of rank 6 in Earth grade, Shun Long was confident that he could at least fight him evenly. Lei Hong's mood had obviously improved after thinking of the 100 spirit stones that would soon fall in his hands, and looking at Shun Long he said, "You must be really dumb if you think that you can defeat me, just because you managed to beat that garbage Guanhong." As Lei Peng finished speaking, he held his spear with both hands as he started infusing his chi inside it, making his spear buzz as it started to tremble. Lei Peng seemed to have already reached the early stage of rank 6 in Earth grade, instead of the peak of rank 5 that he was when he had fought Xiaojian. Shun Long's eyes instantly turned golden, and with a serious look on his eyes he said, "Come." Lei Peng's feet kicked the ground as he quickly arrived in front of Shun Long before thrusting his spear forward. The tip of his spear was shining brightly with thunder sparks forming on top of it, as it was heading straight towards Shun Long's chest. Shun Long tried to dodge to the side, but the spear tip instantly changed its course as it chased after him. As Lei Peng's spear was relentlessly chasing after him, Shun Long seemed to have entered a passive position as the fight went on. Lei Peng's explosive attacks weren't that hard to avoid thanks to his golden eyes, but the fact that these attacks never let up had left Shun Long without any windows to counterattack. Lei Xiang, who watched this scene, smirked as she cheered for her elder brother. Lei Peng had trained his spear arts for many years, even before he had entered the sect. Although Shun Long had also received some basic training in weapons from his father, he couldn't compare to Lei Peng in this regard. Even Lei Peng's cultivation technique was a perfect fit for him using a spear, and finally, Shun Long had understood his weakness. He didn't have enough fighting experience yet. Although he had trained with the guards on the Shun estate in the Sky Fortune Kingdom, these people couldn't even be compared with Lei Peng. In his fight with Guanhong, Shun Long could easily exploit the openings that Guanhong showed after each failed attack as well. However, Lei Peng continued his attacks one after the other, as if they were all part of a set. It looks like this kid doesn't have a chance after all. Of course, who do you think senior brother Lei is? After all the boasting, it looks like this kid is only bark and no bite. Hearing the comments from the crowd, Little Black was actually feeling indignation for Shun Long as he asked, "Master, why don't you use your monarch's domain? Although there is a big difference in cultivation, it should still be able to slow him down and give you enough room to attack." Shun Long, who seemed to be stuck in a passive position, where all he did was dodge Lei Peng's attacks, replied to Little Black contentedly. "This guy is so fast and his attacks are like a chain. My biggest flaw right now is my lack of combat experience. Although this is exhausting, this person is also the best sparring partner I could ask for." Little Black's eyes shone as he stopped speaking, allowing Shun Long to completely focus on the fight. As long as his concentration was focused on Lei Peng, with his eyes' ability to see in the future, he could still avoid his attacks. 20 minutes soon passed and Lei Peng's attacks had started to slow down. Both he and Shun Long were drenched in sweat, but the fight didn't stop. Crowd had also noticed this anomaly. Since Shun Long couldn't fight back and Lei Peng's cultivation was so much higher than his, then shouldn't he have already lost by now? Senior brother Lei's movements seemed to have somewhat slowed down. Stop spouting rubbish. They haven't slowed down. It's obvious that senior brother is conserving his strength. He just wants to tire this kid out before beating him. But senior brother Lei and that kid both look tired. Lei Peng had really started to get frustrated now. It was one thing to not be able to beat Xiaojian due to his abnormal defense, but now, fighting against this kid who constantly dodged his attacks was even more frustrating. This kid's ability to dodge my attacks is even scarier than senior sister Tong's. Although he was tired, Lei Peng didn't stop. He was certain that since he was the one with the higher cultivation in this battle, Shun Long would be the one to suck Dairembi to the exhaustion first. As he thrust his spear at Shun Long's left leg, Lei Peng seemed to have changed its direction at the last moment, sweeping it upwards towards Shun Long's abdomen, and yet Shun Long still managed to avoid the attack, as if he somehow knew where Lei Peng was aiming from the start. The fight continued as the 20 minutes soon turned into an hour. No matter whether it was straight attacks of pure speed, feints, or attacks from a tricky angle, Shun Long managed to avoid every single one of them. Even the people in the crowd didn't believe that Lei Peng was toying with Shun Long anymore, as they now understood that this was a real fight. Lei Peng had already expended more than 70% of his qi, and his body was also exhausted as he was drenched in sweat from head to toe. Although Shun Long's robes were also drenched with his sweat, since he was also a body-refining cultivator, he could actually fight for even longer than this. Finally, frustration kicked in and Lei Peng stopped chasing Shun Long as he mumbled, "You asked for it, brat." Shun Long's golden eyes shone as he quickly understood what Lei Peng was trying to do, and finally, he activated his monarch's domain. Inside the domain, Lei Peng's speed had unknowingly dropped by more than half as Shun Long rushed straight at him. Crowd saw Shun Long heading towards Lei Peng, who didn't seem to have realized this yet as he was still infusing his qi in his spear. "Brother, watch out." As Lei Xiang's voice was heard, Shun Long's full-powered punch hit Lei Peng straight on the chest. Before he could even process what had happened, Lei Peng's body was flying in the air. He crashed on the ground with a bang, and after vomiting a mouthful of blood, he had finally lost consciousness. The entire arena had fallen dead silent as everyone's eyes were now on Shun Long, who had just won against the strongest expert below the top 100 in the arena rankings. "No!" Lei Xiang screamed as she watched her brother's body crashing on the ground before he lost consciousness. She frantically ran in the arena to support Lei Peng before turning her head to give a venomous look to Shun Long as she said, "I will kill you. How dare you hurt my brother? I swear that I will definitely kill you." Her scream seemed to have waken up the entire arena, as everyone turned their heads to look at Lei Xiang, who was now madly screaming at Shun Long. Shun Long's eyes finally chilled as he then walked up to her. Lei Xiang seemed to have finally felt fear as she stumbled backwards, seeing Shun Long coming closer and closer to her. As Shun Long stood in front of her looking at her with his cold eyes that didn't conceal his anger, an apathetic voice sounded from the crowd as it said, "You probably don't want to touch her." Shun Long turned his eyes to see a handsome young man in blue hair and yellow robes, around 20 years old, staring at him. The man seemed to be examining Shun Long before he revealed a smile and said, "Threatening her is fine, but if you touch her you will probably have more on your plate than what you can handle." The blue-haired young man seemed to be warning Shun Long out of good intentions, but the tone in his voice was definite, saying that if Shun Long touched Lei Xiang he wouldn't be able to handle the aftermath of it. Shun Long looked at this man as he asked placidly, "Are you saying that I should let her go because someone is backing her?" The man smiled as he nodded his head. Lei Xiang seemed to have just gained some newfound courage as she looked at Shun Long and said in a commanding tone, "Kneel down now and wait for my brother to come back to his senses. If my mood improves by then I can actually consider letting you go. Or else, when Brother Ren hears about today, you won't have a place to hide anywhere in the outer city." The blue-haired young man looked at Lei Xiang with an interested gaze, before his eyes noticed Shun Long's left arm slowly rising in the air. The young man's eyes bulged as he understood what was going to happen, but without any time to intervene all he could do was just watch. Slap. A crisp sound was heard throughout the arena as Shun Long's hand connected with Lei Xiang's face as she collapsed on the ground. A bright red palm print was on Lei Xiang's right cheek as her eyes seemed completely unfocused. The arena was so silent that even a pin drop could be heard, everyone's eyes staring at Shun Long, who stood in front of Lei Xiang and said, "Did you think that I wouldn't hit you just because you are a woman?" As Lei Xiang raised her head, she saw Shun Long staring straight into her eyes, his eyes having a chilling look on them that seemed to have sent shivers all over her body as he continued, "There will be no mercy if you dare to threaten my life again. Know your place." As Shun Long finished speaking, he took the 200 spirit stones from the arena representative before he turned around to leave, leaving behind him a dumbfounded crowd. The blue-haired young man watched Shun Long as he walked away and shook his head before he too left the arena as he mumbled with a sly smile on his face, "It looks like Rangai and Fu Peiji will both be really mad when they hear about this." As Shun Long walked back towards the mystifying fragrance pavilion, Little Black was laughing, feeling completely refreshed after having seen Shun Long slap Lei Xiang in the face. "Master, that was a great slap. Truly a great slap, haha. Did that girl really expect you to get scared and kneel in front of her?" Shun Long shook his head and smiled after hearing the jubilant black dragon laughing, and 10 minutes later he had already returned back to the pavilion. After entering his room, Shun Long immediately sat down on his bed, as sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time, feeding 10 spirit stones to the heaven-swallowing vine. The vine seemed to instantly get invigorated as it absorbed the energy from the spirit stones, immediately producing qi that seemed to be even purer than last time. Shun Long was disappointed to see that although the quality of the qi that the vine emitted had increased and the qi was now purer, the quantity was really small. "I wonder how much my cultivation will advance after feeding all the spirit stones to the heaven-swallowing vine?" Shun Long then fed 90 more spirit stones to the vine before he started absorbing the refined pure qi that it produced. As Shun Long was cultivating using the heaven-swallowing vine, the entire outer sect was learning of what had transpired today in the arena. A person named Shun Long, who was rumored to have taken first place in the sect during the outer sect examination, had first defeated Guan Hong, who had recently advanced into the top 700 of the arena rankings, before he proceeded to defeat Lei Pong right after. Of course, the details of him slapping Lei Xiang were also not omitted. Xiao Jian and Xiao Shi too were chatting inside the treasure pavilion when they learned of these news. Xiao Jian was shocked to hear that a newbie had beaten Lei Pong and looked at his brother questioningly as he asked, "Wasn't Lin Wu's previous fiancé also named Shun Long, entering the sect with you half a year ago?" Xiao Shi too, however, simply shook his head as he said, "Although that's true, brother, the Shun Long who entered the sect with me half a year ago was just a rank 6 Qi condensation disciple. Do you believe that the same person can break through to the middle or late stages of the Earth grade in just half a year?" Xiao Jian shook his head as he laughed at his own idea before saying, "Your words make sense, little brother. It's your elder brother who is foolish. Among millions of outer disciples, it's not that abnormal for two people to share the same name." As Xiao Shi Tu and Xiao Jian were laughing over this matter, in a private mansion near the entrance to the inner city, inside the main hall, a young man was filled with killing intent as he looked at the person in front of him and asked furiously, "What did you just say? What did you just say? Someone dared to slap Xianger? Explain everything." This young man looked to be a bit more than 20 years old, with long black hair and a burly build. In front of him was an outer disciple that was on his knees, describing what he saw inside the arena earlier. "Senior Brother Ren, this is what happened." As the outer disciple finished speaking, he suddenly felt as if a hammer had hit his stomach before he was sent flying all the way from the main hall to the gates of the mansion. "Senior Brother Ren, shut your mouth. How dare you still call me senior brother? My woman was slapped in front of you and you didn't do anything? You still have the face to call me senior brother?" Fram. The outer disciple felt aggrieved at this behavior as he was only a small disciple at the middle of rank 1 Earth grade. He couldn't possibly fight with Shun Long over Lei Xiang's face slap. Swallowing down this injustice, he quickly left the mansion without another word. After all, he couldn't just express his anger at Rengui, who was ranked 7th in the arena rankings. Rengui was looking towards the direction of the arena as he narrowed his eyes. "To think that there are people who dare touch my woman without giving me any face, Shun Long, huh? You must definitely be tired of your good life in the floating cloud sect." Fu Peiji's reaction was similar to Rengui's when he received the news of Shun Long's fight with Lei Pong, as he too vowed to make this Shun Long's life miserable when he would meet him. Not even for a moment did Fu Peiji think that the person who defeated Lei Pong was the same person that he had met in the arena with Fu Li and Lu Wen back then. Meanwhile, the culprit who had stirred the entire outer city was still inside his room cultivating using the heaven-swallowing vine. One day later, a small popping sound was heard from inside Shun Long's body as his body felt brimming with energy. "Master, congratulations for advancing to the peak of rank 3 in Earth grade already." Shun Long, who was still sitting on his bed, replied, "This is mainly thanks to the qi inside the spirit stones, that became even purer after it was refined by the heaven-swallowing vine. And yet, after just one day of cultivation, I'm left with less than 90 spirit stones already." Then, Shun Long took a look at the space inside the Stone of Time, and as his eyes stared at his 5 profound earth fruits, Shun Long pondered over his available options. "I was originally only planning to use the hearts and beast cores of the rank 2 blood wolves to concoct the earth refining pill, but it seems that I have better options in hand. Although it's somewhat of a waste to use the beast cores of rank 3 magic beasts to create rank 2 pills, the most important thing is to improve my current strength. Even if the earth refining pill can't help me advance my qi cultivation, my strength will still soar after breaking through to the earth grade in body refinement." Little Black then said in an aggrieved tone, "If only those shameless people from the Flying Sword sect and the others didn't cheat during that sect exam, Master would have also gotten his hands on the blood vermilion fruit as well." Shun Long nodded his head after hearing Little Black's words, but he wasn't really too bothered with that. Although it would be nice for him to have the blood vermilion fruit, at the end of the day he could still do without it. On the other hand, the heaven-swallowing vine was something that Shun Long wouldn't give up no matter what, since its value couldn't be measured even with 1,000,000 blood vermilion fruits. After sitting on the floor of his room, Shun Long took out his alchemy cauldron, as well as 4 of the profound earth fruits. He also took out the beast core and heart of the middle rank 3 red-fanged flame bat, together with the cores and hearts of 3 more rank 3 magic beasts. Shun Long first placed the rank 3 profound earth fruit along with more than 10 rank 2 medicinal herbs inside, refining them until only their medicinal essence was left. He then rotated the medicinal essence inside the cauldron using his spiritual strength again and again until it had turned into a small liquid ball, before placing the bat's heart inside. The heart of the middle rank 3 red-fanged flame bat was refined almost instantly as it quickly turned into a small puddle of blood. Black smoke seemed to come out from the bat's heart as Shun Long was forcing out its impurities, keeping only the purest of its blood inside. Finally, Shun Long's eyes were completely focused as he put inside the bat's magic core. The magic core contained the entirety of a magic beast's energy inside, which was why it was the most difficult part of the magic beast that an alchemist had to refine. After placing inside the beast core, Shun Long split his spiritual strength into 2 parts. One of them was controlling the temperature of the cauldron as it was attempting to melt the rank 3 beast core, while the other aimed to protect the ball of medicinal essence inside. This was a delicate process, and even with Shun Long's vast spiritual strength, he found this pill refinement extremely taxing to his mind. This process continued for 4 more hours until the beast core had turned completely into liquid, before Shun Long finally merged it with the medicinal essence. The essence of the beast core as well as the medicinal essence from before had now combined into one big ball of essence inside the cauldron. Shun Long used his spiritual strength to split this ball into 9 smaller little balls that were slowly refined inside. Ding! Half an hour later, the lid of the cauldron made a dinging sound indicating that the pill refinement had finally ended. Opening the lid of the cauldron, Shun Long could see 9 sparkling pills inside. Pills were all bright red and they emitted a strong scent of blood. Seeing the pills, Shun Long seemed extremely happy as he collected them in a pill bottle before hearing Little Black's surprised voice. "Master, are these top-grade rank 2 pills?" Shun Long nodded his head as he held one of the pills and explained. Originally, the earth-refining pills should have just reached the high grade. But because they were refined flawlessly this time, and thanks to the profound earth fruit's high quality, as well as the rank 3 beast core of the red-fanged flame bat, it's normal to refine top-grade rank 2 pills. Although Shun Long had put it like that, in reality there was no bronze grade 3 alchemist that could refine a top-grade rank 2 pill anywhere in the floating cloud sect. Even a rank 1 silver grade alchemist wouldn't necessarily be able to produce a top-grade rank 2 pill, let alone 9. Author's reminder: bronze grade alchemists can refine up to rank 2 pills, which is the equivalent of the earth grade. Rank 3 pills and above can only be refined by silver grade alchemists and above. For more info, remember to go back and check the auxiliary chapter. After all, it was thanks to Shun Long's massive spiritual strength that had allowed him to refine rank 3 ingredients like the profound earth fruit and the rank 3 bat's beast core, which normally only silver-grade alchemists or above were able to use. After collecting the pills, Shun Long closed his eyes as he rested to recover his spent spiritual strength. It was only 6 hours later that he opened his eyes again after his spiritual strength had completely recovered before he started another pill concoction. Soon 2 days had passed and Shun Long had refined 36 glistening bright red pills. Looking at the 4 pill bottles in his hand, Shun Long mumbled, 33 top-grade pills and 3 high-grade ones. I'm curious how much my monarch's eternal body will advance after I refine their energy and absorb them. Just as Shun Long finished speaking, his sect-identifying jade had suddenly lit up as 2 words appeared on it. Arena Challenge 17. Arena Challenge 17? Fu Peiji. Shun Long's lips curved up into a smile after seeing the challenger's rank, before he put his sect jade away, completely ignoring it as he turned his eyes back to the pill bottles. Taking out a top-grade earth-refining pill, Shun Long could feel the immense amount of energy inside the pill. A top-grade rank 2 pill was after all more than 2 times more effective than a high-grade pill of the same rank. The moment that Shun Long placed the pill in his mouth, he could feel it as it immediately dissolved, turning into a stream of energy that went down his throat like a burning liquid before it spread throughout his body. Unfortunately, the energy inside the earth-refining pill was extremely violent, and Shun Long had to withstand tremendous pain as his monarch's eternal body was circulating by itself, absorbing every bit of the earth-refining pill's violent energy. Through an hour, Shun Long's body had finally started to get used to the pain. The monarch's eternal body was absorbing the pill's energy like a starved beast, as it started to strengthen every single part of Shun Long's body once again. From Shun Long's blood to his meridians, tendons, and internal organs, all the way to his skin and bones. It took 2 hours for the monarch's eternal body to completely absorb the energy of the first top-grade earth-refining pill. And yet, Shun Long could feel that his body was now starving for energy as he continued absorbing a second top-grade pill. At the same time, in front of the arena's registration counter, Fu Peiji was waiting for Shun Long to come here, as a huge crowd had gathered around him. Although people were excited at first, after 2 whole hours even Fu Peiji had started to get impatient as he waiting for Shun Long to enter. One of the disciples then looked at Fu Peiji as he said, "Senior brother Fu, I don't think that this kid will come. How could he have the guts to fight against senior brother after all? He is probably hiding somewhere, afraid that you will find him and teach him a lesson." Fu Peiji nodded his head after hearing these words, as he had already started to get impatient long ago when he said, "You are probably right. If he is bent on hiding, then I can't do anything to him. However, if any of you see him, you must immediately inform me. Don't worry, senior brother. If we see that kid, we will immediately call for you. He won't be able to hide from us, senior brother Fu, rest assured." Fu Peiji nodded his head after hearing these words before leaving the arena. Since Shun Long wasn't coming, he would look like a fool if he kept waiting here. 2 days went by in the blink of an eye before Shun Long opened his eyes. His body and face were covered by a layer of blood, and even his yellow robes were now dyed red. His eyes, however, were shining brightly while his body was now naturally exuding a powerful and majestic aura. The 4 pill bottles on the floor in front of him, however, were completely empty. "Master, you advanced from the peak of the first stage in body refinement all the way to the middle of the second stage in just 2 days. I have never heard of anything like this before." Shun Long smiled as he clenched his fists that now felt full of endless energy before he said, "I can feel that my body is many times stronger than before. I'm not sure if I can win against Fu Peiji just yet since I don't know the extent of his abilities, but I'm certain that if I fought with Lei Peng again now that my monarch's eternal body has reached the middle of the second stage, the fight would only take 1 punch." Through Shun Long finished speaking, the look in his eyes suddenly turned ice cold as he mumbled, "It's finally time to settle some old accounts. Master, are you talking about that Xiao Shirtu and the girl from that Lin family?" Since Shun Long had already told Little Black about how he had nearly died outside the blue forest of the Sky Fortune Kingdom, Little Black immediately understood what Shun Long meant when he said that it's time to settle some old accounts. Through all the timing between his assassination attempt and the Lin family coming to ask to break the engagement was far too close to be simply a coincidence. Shun Fong, as well as a peak rank 3 bronze grade formation master, didn't have any enemies, and instead people always rushed to please him and tend to his every need. The status of a rank 3 bronze grade formation master was too ill to use Trias in the mortal world after all, for people to plan an assassination against Shun Long for no good reason. Shun Long nodded his head at Little Black as he always had these thoughts in mind, and now that his strength had advanced enough, it was finally time to unravel the mystery and settle this old account. Through removing his robes and taking a shower to get rid of the blood all over his face and body, Shun Long also removed the blood from his robes before he heard Little Black saying, "Master, I think that we should celebrate your advancement in body refinement. After all, body refinement is harder than chi cultivation, and Master has been cultivating for such a short time." Shun Long smiled as he heard Little Black's words and laughed before saying, "Ha, fine. I was planning to let it ferment for a bit longer, but we can try one now. Then, under Little Black's expectant eyes, Shun Long sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time, as he removed one of the buried wooden barrels from his herb field. After he removed the barrel's top, a fragrant smell filled the entire room, while Shun Long's face had turned red after smelling this intoxicating scent. Shun Long took out a big bowl, and after filling it with the red liquid from the barrel, he handed the entire barrel to Little Black inside the Stone of Time. Then, both at the same time, they drank the red liquid, one man from a bowl and one dragon from a wooden barrel. Little Black took a deep gulp before he exclaimed in bliss, This is definitely among the 3 best wines I have ever drunk." Shun Long also nodded his head, as the taste of this wine that he had made using the rank 3 purple fragrant grass and a dozen more rank 2 medicinal herbs was truly exceptional. But what was also important was that he had fermented the wine for more than 100 years of time inside the Stone of Time. That was the reason why the barrel was buried in the herb field. Since everything inside the wine was medicinal essence from spiritual herbs, they were affected when Shun Long used his chi to speed up time inside his herb field. The black dragon greedily emptied the barrel before asking Shun Long, Master, we still have 2 more barrels. Surprisingly, Shun Long nodded his head as he took out 1 more barrel from the herb field. After removing the barrel top and filling his bowl to the brim, he handed the barrel to Little Black. Little Black didn't expect his suggestion to work, as the black dragon then blissfully gulped down the wine in the second barrel. Shun Long, who had just emptied his bowl, however, closed his eyes as he circulated the monarch's hourglass. Little Black's eyes shone as he thought, Right. Although the effect the wine has on me is almost negligible, it is after all created by Master after mixing a rank 3 medicinal herb with a dozen rank 2 ones, so it can definitely help with Master's cultivation. Shun Long's chi had reached its peak, as he attempted to break through to the early rank 4 in Earth grade. Through every 3 minor ranks there was a bottleneck in cultivation, and to advance from the peak of rank 3 to the early rank 4 was precisely one such bottleneck. Shun Long, who had just created his 28th ball of chi in the Earth grade, tried to push it upwards inside the monarch's hourglass above his head, next to the previously created balls. However, his 27 balls of chi already existing inside were like an immovable wall that simply refused to budge. Through purifying his 28th ball with so much of his chi that he was practically exhausted, Shun Long had finally managed to push it inside, finally entering the early rank 4 in Earth grade. This wasn't just the difference from a single ball of chi but a qualitative one that greatly enhanced the strength of his chi balls. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Master. Are we going to find that Xiaoshi too and his brother now? Shun Long nodded his head as he said, I will challenge Xiaojian in the arena today, but first I have to make a trip to the treasure pavilion. Leaving the mystifying fragrance pavilion, Shun Long walked for half an hour until he arrived at the treasure pavilion's entrance. After finding an alley to put on his black robes, he then entered inside. After taking a look at the first floor, Shun Long didn't find anything of interest before he went up to the second floor. Surprisingly, among the girls that greeted the guests on the second floor, Shun Long spotted Mei Yi, the young girl that had greeted him the first time that he had arrived on this floor. Shun Long approached her, and after taking out the VIP card that Yin Xing had given him, he asked in a deep voice, Little girl, is Yin Xing here? After seeing Yin Xing's VIP card, Mei immediately recognized Shun Long as she stuttered and said in excitement, Say, Senior. Alchemist Yin is here, I will call him now. Please, Senior, come with me first. After leading Shun Long to a spacious private room with a table full of delicacies inside, Mei Yi immediately left to call Yin Xing. Not even 5 minutes had passed since Shun Long had entered the room, when an excited Yin Xing could be seen rushing through the second floor. Customers in the pavilion were shocked to see a dignified rank 3 bronze-grade alchemist run like that, but Yin Xing didn't pay them any attention as he soon arrived at the private room that Shun Long was sitting in. Through entering inside, Yin Xing bowed his head as he greeted excitedly, Senior. Senior. Shun Long nodded his head at Yin Xing, gesturing for him to sit, but Yin Xing remained standing as he said, Senior. I'm happy that I can meet you again. Are you here to sell something or do you wish to purchase something this time? Please tell me if I can be of any assistance to you. Yinxing was very excited to meet Shun Long again. Since Shun Long had gifted him the recipe for the improved rank 1 Qi barrier-breaking pill, Yinxing's understanding about alchemy had completely changed. He wasn't that far off from reaching the standards of a rank 1 silver-grade alchemist as well, and even his status in the treasure pavilion had increased. Of course, his cultivation also had to catch up if he wanted to become a silver-grade alchemist. Shun Long nodded his head as he said in a deep voice, "Indeed, I am here today because I wish to auction something through the treasure pavilion." As he finished his words, Shun Long took out the last wooden barrel from the Stone of Time, and as he opened the barrel top he said, "This is a wine that I have specially fermented for more than 100 years using many precious herbs. Not only is its taste exceptional, but it can even improve the cultivation of the person who consumes it." Yinxing could barely understand Shun Long's words at this point, as his mind had already been swept by the intoxicating scent of the wine. However, as he heard Shun Long's last sentence, he couldn't hide his shock as he asked, Say, Senior, are you serious? The wine can help improve someone's cultivation." Shun Long smiled as he nodded his head and said, "Of course, the rise in cultivation will be different depending on the cultivation of the person who drinks it. The effects, after all, will be much bigger to an earth-grade cultivator, while a spirit realm expert will barely feel any increment in his cultivation base." Yinxing looked at Shun Long in disbelief before he turned his head to look at the barrel of wine. Shun Long then took a small cup from the table in front of him, and after scooping up some wine from the barrel, he placed the cup in front of the table as he smiled beneath his robes and said, "Try it and you will understand." Yinxing carefully took the small cup from the table before he proceeded to drink the wine inside it. After tasting the wine, his expression alternated from joy and excitement to incredulity and disbelief. Shun Long then sealed the barrel again with its top as he asked, "What do you think?" Yinxing came back to his senses as he heard Shun Long's words and said in disbelief, "Senior, this is the best wine I have ever tasted in my life. I don't think that I can ever forget this taste. If you really plan on auctioning it, then in 4 days that the monthly auction will take place, the wine will definitely be the most valuable item. I indeed plan to auction it, however I don't need sect points. I only want spirit stones." Yinxing was stunned, but after thinking about it for a bit, he thought that these words made sense. Not only was this wine's taste heavenly, but it was made from rare medicinal herbs that could improve one's cultivation. Yinxing himself had never heard of a wine that could improve someone's cultivation, but he had personally experienced it today. Nodding his head, he then said, "Don't worry, Senior. I will take care of this. I will also make sure that our pavilion will let the word spread of Senior's wine so that even more people will bid for it. I estimate that the elders from the powerful families of the sect will definitely fight to get their hands on it." Shun Long accepted Yinxing's offer as he said, "In that case, I will return in 4 days to participate in the auction." Yinxing bowed as he accompanied Shun Long until the pavilion's entrance, before he hurried to inform the higher-ups about this. Shun Long then found an alley to change back to his normal robes, before heading directly to the arena. After walking for the time it takes to eat a meal, 30 to 45 minutes, he had already arrived in front of the arena. Surprisingly, there were some disciples outside, who recognized Shun Long's face after having seen his fights last time, and word quickly started spreading that Shun Long had returned to the arena. Walking in front of the registration counter, Shun Long found the same woman waiting there. The woman was much more polite and respectful to Shun Long after hearing that this person had defeated Lei Peng, but her jaw almost dropped when she heard the reason that he had arrived today. "I'm here to challenge Xiaodian." Crowd that had gathered around Shun Long and was waiting to find out who he was going to challenge, instantly exploded in fervor. The woman couldn't help but ask again as if she wanted to verify it. Do you mean the one ranked 93rd in the arena rankings? That's Xiaodian." Shun Long nodded his head as he took out his sect-identifying jade. The woman accepted it with disbelief before issuing the challenge. Inside a private room near the inner city, Xiaojian's jade lit up, shocking him as he read the words on it. Arena Challenge 101. He had already heard about the Shun Long who had defeated Lei Pong, as well as about him not accepting Fu Peiji's challenge. And now this person was challenging him? Xiao Jian then stopped cultivating as he left his room and walked towards the arena. Word quickly spread through the outer city that Shun Long had challenged the person ranked 93rd in the top 100 rankings, and even Fu Peiji and Ren Gui had soon heard of it. Fu Peiji was silently heading towards the arena as soon as he was informed about it, but Ren Gui had a frosty smile on his face as he said, "So you are finally willing to appear? I will make sure to teach you a good lesson then." Less than an hour later, Xiao Jian arrived in front of the arena entrance, with a huge crowd trailing behind him.